Yeah. Is that big enough for people to see all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll call the meeting to order, January 7th, 2025. The Town of West Newbury Planning Board, it is 7:03. And this is our agenda. Our associate member won't be able to attend tonight. The first item on the agenda is discussion regarding the MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District bylaw. And there's two topics for potential discussion, if not more. One is the maximum development area. And help me out here, folks. I think we kind of talked about this last time that we were going to wait on this, right? And choose a maximum developable area that corresponded to whichever site we chose.
Yes, and I
That's
think
my recollection
I
too.
think
And
that
it
was
was
my
around
recollection, yes.
8 for one and 9 for one, or whatever the number was, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey, let me just check something out here. If I flip the screen here, does it flip for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah. All right. So that's what we were talking about.
Right. There's 8 showing on that one, and it must be 9 for naps then.
Yeah, well, I think isn't this one's
Oh, I'm
next.
sorry. I'm looking at, yes, I wasn't focusing on that. Thanks.
And this was yeah.
Oh, that also says 8. Interesting. Okay. Okay, well, we'll refine it when the time comes.
Okay, good. And then the other thing that that we have some new news on, I don't know if you checked your emails today,
Yes.
but the attorneys looked over what we might say for site plan review. Let me see if I can switch over to something here.
Mhm.
Does that show up?
Yes.
Yes.
So the language in question, it has to do with rejection of the site plan, and this is the clean version of the draft bylaw, and it's this section right here that draws some concern. And if I recall correctly from the email that I read a little while ago, the town attorney says we shouldn't have any language that has to do with denial. And then said that this language is quoted from a decision that was made.
Yes.
So and now I'll just open it up to discussion, and I'll start it off by saying my inclination is to leave it like it is then. If this quotes some sort of decision that's already been made with these communities, even though the Attorney General might not like it, at least it would match. I don't know what you guys think.
This is in line, because I think Robin Stein said, she didn't come right out and say we couldn't do that.
Correct. That's the way I read it.
Yeah, I mean, she said we couldn't have our standard review process.
That's what,
But
because that's what we were talking about before is why have this language when we've already got language in the bylaw about rejecting
yes,
site plan.
yes.
But she recommends, I'm just looking at her email, not using the usual site plan language.
Right.
It's more general. And then she quotes a version of this, which is not identical to this, but it's basically that, the prudential case.
This, an intractable problem so intrusive on the interests of the public that despite that no form of reasonable conditions could be devised, right?
Hers is a sort of a summary of that, but it does include that intractable verbiage, so, yeah.
I think we should leave, because, I like the word intractable.
Well, it's a high standard then, Ray, right?
Exactly. I hate to see trying to adjudicate this later, I guess.
Yeah, we should defer to our resident scholar when it comes to legal stuff. Yeah, it is a high standard.
So this is the standard for, rejection, right?
This is what was proposed, and then the question came up about this, and then in a previous discussion, correct me if I'm wrong, we were saying, why even have this when we've already got a general one? And then Katrina got it to the town attorney
Right.
or consultants, And they said, yeah, don't use the general stuff. And my impression was we could go forward with this, although they weren't really thrilled about that either.
Yeah,
And so my inclination is to just keep this the way it was proposed and then see what the deal is if we vote this bylaw in. I'd rather have
so
it.
these are the grounds for rejection. So it would be rejected only to the extent it's incomplete, right? That's the first one. And the second one is it's in proper form, but it includes or creates an intractable problem so intrusive on the interests of the public that despite the best efforts, no form of reasonable conditions could be devised to satisfy the problem with the plan. To me, I mean, that's a very high standard that the board would have to demonstrate to reject a plan. So I don't see a real benefit in leaving it in, Ray.
Oh, well, as opposed to not having any rejection language?
Correct. Yeah, which I think was the suggestion because I think what the attorneys, will say is that these things could evolve, right? And then we'd have to revisit this standard if that's the case in these state mandated, these projects under state mandated statutes, that there's only very limited grounds to reject on the basis of site plan review.
I'm a little
So,
confused, Tim, because what we're proposing is something that says there are very limited grounds for rejecting it.
Yeah,
And,
but
and you're saying that it's better not to have it at all?
well, Ray, let me read you exactly what Robinstein says.
Okay, all right.
Because I think she's in agreement. I'm going to do it out of order. Her last
Okay.
sentence is, we have been recommending that the MBTA zoning bylaws do not contain any site plan denial provision. And her sentence before that around this says, you may want to see if you can get feedback from EOHLC as to if they will approve zoning language that essentially quotes from the prudential case and authorizes denial, in this intractable case. So
Yeah.
she's saying that that's, they still might reject it even if it has that, and therefore their recommendation is to have nothing, as Tim said.
Well, another thing that we could do, I mean, it doesn't, this is not a fight that it's okay with me, however we decide to go here. I'm okay with, wouldn't we want to at least have though the parenthetical one there that if
Oh,
the
yeah.
application,
yes,
Yeah.
yep,
Yes.
agree with you. Yep.
That's easy. That's easy. That's a
Alright.
matter of fact, not opinion.
yeah, but then this is language, rejection language. So see, that kind of goes counter to what you just read in the letter.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but I think that the subjective standards in
denial.
2, right, Ray?
Yes.
Yeah. So that two is the issue. And as I say, the issue there is this standard could be further evolved, right? And so we don't want to keep updating the bylaw, to correspond with that. I think what they're saying is that it is whatever it's decided under case law. And this is kind of a summary of what the
All right,
current standard
okay,
is.
so let me put this to you the other way. Let's say that something comes up. I don't think this would happen, but let's just say there's a proposal. And we find a problem with it. And that problem matches case law where some court case said, yeah, in fact, the site plan review could be rejected based on this. But we don't have any such provision in our bylaw at all. Then how would we bring it up? I mean, wouldn't the applicant be able to say, well, the only rejection you've got here is if the application is incomplete, and our application was complete?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I think that, it's governed by really the case law, right? If it's not in our bylaw. So it's whatever the standard would be. And if, I'm sure there's a standard for incomplete applications being rejected. I'm sure there's, adequate grounds for that.
Yeah,
in
I've got
case-
no problem with that one. I'm just saying if there was something else
Hmm,
that showed up, but we didn't have anything other than parenthetical one here,
yeah.
how would we be able to act on a newly established case law that did reject its site plan review for a complete application.
Yeah.
But that's always the case. I mean, new case law comes along about XYZ topic. If it's not in our bylaw, but it's now part of case law, can't we refer to that in a
I
decision?
think you could just, I'm guessing you could probably just reject it, and the applicant would look at the case law with their attorneys and they'd realize, do they really want to pursue this? And then we'd have to change the language, but
Okay, well, I mean, the other thing, of course, is that although Tim says we don't want to keep going back and revising things, I mean, if there was some significant case law that occurred over the next couple of years, I mean, we could always come back and add a little bit of language back in.
Yep. The other thing that, when I write contracts, I usually refer to, what's under applicable law. So you could say that, there'd be grounds under whatever grounds that are available under applicable law, something like that, right? And bounce that off of
Well,
town.
that's the kind of thing that I guess I'm fishing for here, that we would put in parenthetical 2.
Yeah, I think something like that. would be
Something
great.
along the lines of, may reject the application because applicable case law, because the application,
Doesn't comply with applicable
What-
case.
yeah, something
That's the
like
way to
that.
say it doesn't, does not comply to with applicable law, and just leave it at that. I'd still run this one more time, that particular language by town council, just to make sure they're okay with the 1 and 2, but.
I agree. We should do that. I suspect she's going to come back and say, "Did you read my last sentence in my notes?"
No, I know. Yeah,
Well, I'm
But
okay
I'm
either
with
way.
Ray,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm okay with just deleting parenthetical 2 now. Yeah, because I don't think this is going to happen. So I'm not that upset about it. And we can just delete parenthetical 2 now, then we're complying with the recommendation and, done.
We got time. I think, it's a short note back to Robin. I don't have a problem with just checking on something like that.
Okay, Tim, can you state just, we're being recorded now, so it'll help with the minutes. Can you phrase that again? So the proposal would be to delete the language that I'm showing here under parenthetical 2 on page 4, and replace it with,
I would say, I would say on grounds under applicable law. So may reject the application because the submittal is deficient on grounds under applicable law. And I would
Okay.
just bounce that off them. They may have more, nuanced way to say it, but I think they'll know what we're getting at.
The other thing that's
how
kind
about
of,
this? Okay, how about this for proposed language then? Okay, so under 2, it would say the submittal does not comply with applicable.
No, it's really, so we're making a finding as the board, right? So, yeah, the board, that's because it would be because there are deficiencies in the submittal that are
Okay.
required, are required under applicable law, that.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
new language would be there, for 2, there are deficiencies in the submittal. And then how did you finish that up?
I would say where there is a failure to comply with applicable law.
Okay, there you
Can
go.
can I make one other really nerdy comment? The little number 3 above at the bottom of page 33, the topic here is rejection of the site plan. And then the parenthetical 1 has to do with the application, but parenthetical 2 has to do with the submittal, which are different, right? The submittal would mean after we've heard it, not just the application in its
Yes.
form. So I think rejection of the site plan should say the planning board may reject the site plan because, if we're talking about rejection of the site plan, right? And then there are 2 ways it can be then rejected at the application stage, or
Yeah, I think I
Good
see what
point.
you're
I see what
saying.
you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, and so Roman numeral 3 here would just be rejection of the site plan.
Right, but then
And
the,
then.
no,
with
then the
you-
sentence, then that sentence, under, after rejection of the site plan, the planning board, but yeah, we've got to make the distinction between an application and a
Yep.
submission.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So Roman numeral 3 would just be the heading, rejection of the site plan.
Oh,
And
period.
then parenthetical 1 would say,
The
just what
application,
it says now, the application is complete, boom, boom, boom. And then parenthetical 2 is the planning board may reject the application because the submittal shows deficiencies that do
Yeah.
not comply with applicable case law,
yes,
Applicable law, yeah.
with
yeah, I
applicable
think
law.
those should be, yeah, completely,
And that way you're not going up and reading the first half of the sentence above and then yeah.
right, right.
No, that's a good, yeah, that's a good
Good
way to
point.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think
This
we
is,
can
yeah,
tease-
I know that this is unlikely to come up, but this is kind of a key point. So I do think we should run it one more time by.
right.
Well, the other
Well-
reason I like it is because under this applicable law thing, it does capture that prudential case, which is already there.
Right,
Right.
We need to
exactly.
use it, then we can grab it.
Yeah, yep. And as things evolve, then it's captured in our bylaw. And we don't have to go back and
Right.
read it.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Boy, we are really in the weeds.
Wow.
Yeah,
Come on, these are my weeds.
That's
There you
us.
go.
That's us,
yeah.
the weeds. We love them.
Well, you know, that Briar Rabbit.
Yeah.
Don't
I
throw
was,
it-
just as an aside, very surprised that this is the standard. I mean, oh my goodness. This is a very high standard about intractable problems within best efforts and all this.
Right, it's pretty
Very
much a
high
shutdown,
standard.
let's face
Right.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, it is. All right, good. So then, does anybody have anything else they want to discuss about the MBTA communities? I mean, do we want to talk about the financial report? It's in the packet.
Yeah, I skimmed through it. I mean,
We'd seen it before, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but we haven't discussed it at a meeting.
Well, it's sort of unsurprising, single-family houses tend to have more kids. Units of
Yes.
these multifamilies have fewer bedrooms, therefore it's assumed they'll have fewer kids. That's basically the bottom line, right?
The bottom line is that if anybody does these dense developments, whether they're 87 units or 38 units, they're revenue positive for the town.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah,
and
the-
if they did duplexes or single families or a conventional development, it would be revenue negative for the town.
Right. Yes,
Okay. Well, I just want to, appreciate Angus's work here,
Mm,
pulling all this together, because this is definitely something people were concerned about a year ago.
Yeah.
And they'll be concerned about again.
and this is an outside consultant, so we have to go with their expertise, so.
Yep. And, is it a perfect analysis? I don't think so.
No, but it's
It
apparently.
can't,
the
it
state-
cannot be perfect, right?
No, there's a state of the art for these things, and this is it.
Yeah.
The new piece, correct me if I'm wrong, related to the duplex, did it? Because we had seen this before, and I don't remember seeing the
No,
thing
it's
about
the
the duplex.
same thing, I think.
I thought,
Yeah,
did
it
it look
was
like they
right
added
down-
the duplex?
They added the duplex.
They did, okay.
And the one thing that also that's not part of this are the penalties that the state could impose upon the town if we don't pass the law.
Well, but that's a whole other topic. This
That's
is,
a whole different topic.
yep,
Yeah.
separate.
right, that's a thing that Angus did a workup on, and whether he's willing to share that or not, it's sort of up to him, I guess.
Well, that's another one of these things that'll come up that we'll have to talk about it at the public hearing.
Well, better-
People will want to know about that.
he did some kind of a worksheet about that, but.
He did. He
Circle back
did.
to him.
And
maybe-
once again, it was one of those things where he can't know at this point.
No, I know, but
Exactly.
I think the telling thing is what we do get from the state. And from what they've said so far, any bit of it could be in jeopardy. All of it.
Yeah, I think he had a couple of categories. One was stuff that the state has already said that they would withhold. And then there was a whole bunch of other funding that might be withheld.
Right.
But we don't know yet because no town has yet had a chance to be punished,
Right,
right?
Yes.
right, yes. So we should just make sure we have that document.
So that'll be something that we'll want to we'll want to review before we go to public hearing.
Well, that's MVPC will be assisting in that, crafting that in a fashion that is digestible or understandable. Yeah.
Good,
Good.
that's good.
And hopefully we get the opinion sometime in the next, later this
Yeah,
month.
well, I'm awfully willing to be hopeful right alongside you.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's probably mid-February is
Oh,
the
really?
guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
oh,
Boy.
really? That's faster than I would have expected.
And what about the elusive traffic study?
Oh, last I heard on that, it was a go. And and I remember something about how they should have it for us by the deadline we requested.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was early to mid-February was.
Okay.
I can chime
we
in
should
here.
get it. Oh, there's Katrina. I think we were going to get
Uh,
it this month, actually.
Yeah,
Katrina?
the traffic study is due January 31st.
Very
And
good.
I can go over a tentative schedule, and if I was feeling better, this would all have been sent out to you last Thursday and you could all be discussing it, but it's just in front of me right now.
No
Um,
worries.
So the traffic study is due January 31st. We have a tentative joint planning board and select board meeting February 11th, where the fiscal impact study will be presented, and you can discuss it more with the select board then. And that's also when you'll hopefully be deciding between the Dunn and the Knapp properties.
Hmm.
Then
Good.
February 12th, the planning board has to officially send the zoning proposal to the select board. That's part of the, creating new zoning amendments. February 13th is a deadline for legal ads. And then February 13th, the select board will refer it back to the planning board to conduct a public hearing. Then we have our second legal ad. We also, we did meet with Ian Burns yesterday from MVPC, and we have a schedule for him to help us, and it includes attendance at 3 meetings.
Excuse
One
me.
of those
Great.
meetings I thought was a great idea of his is to have a pre-town meeting. So the week before town meeting, we will conduct a meeting just on the the MBTA zoning, and invite residents to it.
That's a good idea.
Do you have any suggestions on where that should be? Are all the meetings in the big meeting room downstairs?
The annex?
That one we might want to have a larger forum for.
I don't
Okay,
think-
so the annex.
Probably.
All right,
What day of the week is that?
we don't have a set date.
Okay, all right, just trying
Oh,
to.
no, I'm sorry. It looks like April 14th. I did jot that down. Possibly April 14th.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
wherever.
and then also the board is open to having an extra meeting on March 11th, right? Your normal meeting, the public hearing will open March 4th, but Angus was wondering, are we flexible enough to have an extra meeting day in between the 4th and the 18th in case it's needed?
I have a regular second Tuesday other meeting, sorry.
Oh, so that doesn't work for
For
you.
me, it doesn't work. It may work for
But
others.
I think if necessary,
Okay, and you may not need it, but it'd
Yeah.
be good to jot that down so that we know it's there. Okay, yeah, and I was taking notes on your discussion of the site plan language, and that's something I haven't even talked to Angus about since we got that we got that opinion just today. Okay, I think that's it.
good.
Did
Well,
you have any
thank you.
questions from me?
Katrina, while we're looking at the calendar, February 11th is also problematic for me. Basically I have first and third Tuesdays carved out for planning.
Oh,
Throwing random other meetings in there, I think needs to be run by people. But
okay.
maybe I
So
can.
that was a tentative date. I mean, we can switch that.
For what?
Um,
I just thought you said that
I
was.
think
for
that's what
select
we're
board.
doing right now, Ann, is sort of.
No, that was for a joint
people.
planning board and select board meeting.
Yes.
The other one
On-
was in March 11th for some reason.
yes.
Oh, I'm still in February on my calendar. I'm sorry. You're right.
So Anne, February 11th is not good for you. Is there another day that, you could suggest to meet with the,
Well, it
select?
sounds like this is all pretty tight in terms of running up against advertising deadlines and stuff. Why don't we just do it as part of our February 4th meeting? I guess I'm wondering why we need an extra meeting.
True.
Just a question. I don't know what people think. We have time to think about it.
Well, the only thing I will say is we may still be having, that may be a decision on the Middle Street.
Oh, right. Because we have them next time, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
also you'll just be getting the traffic study
Yep, no,
January 31st.
That's a good point.
But I can raise the question about February 4th. Could we do it February 4th?
I
And
think that's
if not,
problematic.
could we do it on a Wednesday? I mean, do we have to do it on a Tuesday? How about February 12th?
Well, you already mentioned that for something that we send something to the select board and the 13th they send it back, and it all seems like it's pretty
Oh yeah,
split.
but those dates aren't all night meetings. Like February 12th is just a reminder for me that the planning board has to officially send a memo to the
Gotcha.
select board. And that
Gotcha.
would happen during the day.
Yeah. No, I mean, that would work for me. Wednesdays would be better than Tuesdays. Thank you all. I know others
No
don't have,
problem.
but I would like to be able to vote on this group.
Okay, so February. Okay, I will make a note of that and talk to Angus and see if we can
Excuse
get
me.
that as a date for the select board.
Thank you.
Good.
Otherwise, our two meetings in February are the 4th and the 18th.
Yep.
I think so.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna be quiet now.
Thank you. All right, let's take a look at these meeting minutes. Any comments on page 1?
Nope.
No, I didn't have any.
None.
No.
Page 2?
I guess I might just consider some spaces or indents or paragraphs of some kind. It gets hard to read this after a while.
Yeah, yeah. It is broken up a little more than last time, but yeah, some blank spaces between the paragraphs would be helpful.
Dense.
A lot of content, which is
It is
nice.
a lot of content. Yeah, it's great to have this record because that was a long meeting.
Yeah, and there have been times when we've had to go back to look at the meeting minutes.
Yes.
Okay, page 3. And page 4. All right, I'll move to accept the minutes.
Second.
I have a second from Deb. All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
Verdi and I.
And Cronin and I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Unanimous, thank you. All right, let's jump back to the agenda here. Correspondence, I didn't see any in the packet. And town planner report, we've sort of had that. Administrative details, I don't know of any. We've talked about future planning board agendas and meetings. And I don't have any items not reasonably anticipated, except for the financial report, which we've already discussed.
Yeah. Could I maybe,
ahead, Brian.
Katrina, if she's listening, Ray, have we heard from Meridian when they might be submitting the study on the Middle Street parcel?
I haven't heard of anything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we did receive that. We received it Monday, I believe, and I just sent it off to Lisa Mead's office yesterday.
Okay,
What's it say?
Can you send it to us, please?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even read it, so yes, I can send it to you.
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Brian, you sent around a reminder for the MVPC housing meeting next week. I'm signed up to go.
Oh, good, good. I'm trying. I'll see how things work out. It'll be a broad discussion on the regional
Yeah,
housing matters, but it could be of interest. So good. Thank you, Deb.
yep.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, it should have been done last week. It kind of slipped my mind.
No, I mean for going.
Going. Yeah, it's half a day. Thank you.
Yeah. I still feel like I have so much to learn anytime I can catch on to these agencies and the work they do. It's all good.
Well, and you know, I think it'll be interesting to just maybe kick around the MBTA elements, the towns that, you know, voted for it, the ones that didn't or haven't even voted yet. There'll be some interest there.
Yes, there may be some lessons learned that would be good to
It
hear.
could be.
To share. Yeah.
Very good. Does anybody else have anything?
No, I think we should hire full-time medical staff for the planning board.
Keep these remote meetings.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, you know,
It's all good.
then, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A second from Mr. Cronin. All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
Brian Murphy. Aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Yeah, I'll call it unanimous. Thank you guys very much. Katrina, chicken soup, lots of bed rest, plenty of fluids. And